Hi, glad you could join me. So just another quick one. Red Arrows ran away with the league actually, and so I think before we move on to looking at the AFCON qualifiers, I thought we could just take a few minutes and look at how and why Red Arrows merited winning the Zambian league for the 2021 and 2022 season. So after 34 matches played, Arrows amassed 70 points from a possible 102 points, which meant that I think they were collecting points at the rate of 2.06 points per game. Then they kept 14 clean sheets in the process. 14 clean sheets represents just about 40% or about 41% of clean sheets in the matches that they played, and already that tells you that that is the kind of form that will win you a championship. So I thought we could briefly just look at how and why exactly Red Arrows managed to run out with the league title. The first thing for me that stood out was that they were consistent. They were consistent in both their ideas as well as consistent in their selection. Now, when you have consistency in ideas of play, it means that players from week to week know exactly what they're supposed to do, and they are going to apply themselves accordingly. On the other side as well, I think they were consistent in terms of their selections. You could basically predict the lineup that Red Arrows were going to play. You knew that Shiwawa was going to be in the center of defense. You knew that Chipesh was going to be on the right. On the other side, in terms of the defensive line, you knew that Diarra was going to play in the middle. Simbayamba was going to be there always. Ricky Banda as the focal point person. You could throw in a Saddam here and there, and so basically that consistency helps in a team. It tells that they've identified a particular spine, and once you have a particular spine, you basically go on and build on the same. Moving on from consistency in both ideas and selection, I think the other thing Arrows had is that they were tactically different. Now, most Zambian clubs will play a 4-4-2 in application, a 4-2-4, a 4-5-1, a 3-5-2 at times. But then I think Arrows went with a 4-3-3, a fluid 4-3-3 that relied mostly on building up from the back, going through the phases of build up. You go into your consolidative zone, you enter into the final third. Now, most Zambian clubs know how to defend easily when you're going route one. Arrows rarely went route one. They put the ball on the ground, and I think clubs found that hard to deal with, and they basically couldn't cope. So the fluid 4-3 helped them in a lot of ways. And at times they also had a variety in terms of their play. They could either attack you through the middle or even go into the wide areas, and that for me meant that they offered something that was different tactically, and most clubs couldn't cope with that. The challenge that most clubs will have in such an instance is, do they know what they usually do and respond to what you're offering them, or do they basically just counter what you're offering? Well, it seems most clubs couldn't get the balance right, and they suffered at the hands of Arrows. I think the other thing that helped them, number 3, is that they had quality in terms of their substitutes. Ideally in football, the person that is going off and the person that is coming in should be of a similar ilk, so that you continue building on the ideas that you have. And I think their substitutes were of good quality. They could call on Alido Kaembe, and because he was going to deliver. There are certain instances that they called on a George Mandu, he was still able to deliver. They could call on Twiza Chaibela on any particular day, he would deliver. James Chamanga coming off the bench and adding what he was adding. And so I think the quality of substitutes that they had helped them a lot. You can also not ignore the composition of the technical bench. I think it had both experience and youthful progression, if I could say that. In relative terms, Coach Chisimbe was still a relatively youth coach. You can also talk about Dominic Yobe. You can also talk about Kadiro Kakonji, and also the experience of Oswald Mitapa, who knows the league very well, and those coaches as well who know the league very well. I think that combination of the technical bench helped them in a lot of ways. And something that stood out for me for Arrows as well in the campaign is that we saw something that we hardly see in most Zambian clubs. You could see that coaches were in constant communication. Chisimbe as head coach was in constant communication with his assistants. Usually you see coaches in Zambia cut out like lone figures on the touchline, and they hardly consult from their colleagues. But I think we saw that at Arrows, and so the composition of the technical bench and the fact that they were able to work together worked wonders for them. Ricky Banda for me was also another important factor for them. Ends the season with 16 goals. Very good run for me. Obviously you'd have wanted him maybe to score a bit more, but then looking at where he's come from and what he did on the pitch, I think was an important factor for them. Basically, he delivered when it mattered the most. I think the question for many before the start of the season was that who was going to fill up the votes, the void left by James Chamanga, because we knew that he was never going to play 90 minutes of football week in, week out. And so Ricky Banda stepped up and I think delivered when it mattered the most. It would be interesting to see how they are going to try and structure his deal, if they can keep him, or what's the idea going forward regarding him. You can also not ignore the fact that there was good chemistry for Red Arrows. You could see the chemistry between the players, between the coaches and collectively, including the backroom staff. Now in football, relationships go a long way in terms of getting results, and so I think there were good relationships built between the technical bench and the players amongst themselves, because you find that men now begin to play for each other, players begin to play for each other and want to give the best, so that even the next space when the colleague is happy, and I think that's what we saw for Arrows on the football pitch. There were instances where they were maybe trailing, but then I think you could see them push each other, and eventually they went on to win matches. And this chemistry, I think, was cemented on the fact that they had a common belief, which was starting from individual, collective, and I think at the end of the day, it helped their relationships in terms of wanting to do more for each other, wanting to do more for the team, and also for their supporters. And by the way, I think it also played an important role in them gaining a lot of supporters, because by the mid-season break, I think they had attracted quite a number of good supporters as well. So that relationship helped them as well. And so I think the chemistry really did well for Arrows. Maybe last or second from last, I think there's one important piece of business that Arrows did, which was, I think, the recruitment of a goalkeeper. Charles Kalumba came in very handy for them. If you're going to win titles, you need a goalkeeper that would preserve at least 4 to 5 clean sheets in a campaign, and I think he offered just that. And so I think that was a very important part of business that they did, and if they can, going forward, if they can do similar pieces of business in other key areas, especially as they prepare for CAF, it would help them in a lot of ways. So I think basically that is what I think helped Arrows to win the league title. And if many clubs could learn from them, I think our league could just become very, very competitive. Because trust me, at the beginning of the season, I don't think many people expected a lot from Arrows. But I think looking at what they did in the season, they did merit getting their hands on the title. And so finally, just to run through what I think helped them, I think there was a consistency in both ideas and selections. They offered something that was different tactically. I think they had quality substitutes whom they could call upon, and it showed their depth. I think the technical bench composition helped them as well. There was experience there and a lot of youthful ideas. Ricky Banda was an important factor for them. There was good chemistry within that team, both among the players and amongst the players and the coaches. And we can also not forget the fact that they made a very important acquisition in the name of Charles Kalumba. And so it's felicitations to them. Well done to Arrows. But I think they did merit getting the league championship based on what I just said. Thank you for joining me. Let me know what you think it would have helped them to win the championship, and what you think they should do going forward. Until the next time, thanks for watching. Bye bye.